said by the famous person called Fu Peirong, who had a huge influence in ancient Chinese literature. And it goes like this. If I were the person who sat under the apple tree and hit by the apple, what would I do? Well, maybe we will think, oh, it is a present given by nature, and I should eat it. The reason why we cannot become Newton, but only the person who ate the apple, is because we don't have the habit of thinking. It is a great quote, but I must admit that the first thought that occurred to me is nonsense. The reason why Newton can find out the rule of gravity is not only because he had a habit of thinking, but most importantly, he is a physicist. That is to say, he would tend to explain the phenomenon in a physical way. And in fact, he had once invested in the stock market, but ended up losing $2.7 million in today's money, which is all his fortune. At that time, he said, I can calculate the motion of heavenly body, but not the maintenance of people. So, obviously, the line of thought that can get a great success in science might make you extremely miserable in stock market. Nowadays, our society requires us, students, to foster the ability to thinking independently, multiply, and deeply. But how? Will we be wiser by receiving more education? Or will we propose a more penetrating view after we read a lot of books? Or, in fact, it is a talent that only few people can have? I think none of them. I think the key role to improve our thinking ability is experience. In my opinion, experience is not just doing the virtual thing, like holding an event, traveling, being a deputy, etc., but to accumulate something that is beyond your imagination. For example, someone claims that losing his soundcard is a great damage to administrative gain. Well, it is truly an outstanding experience of how ridiculous our officer is. Okay, I will offer another example that is not so political. When we learn how to paint, we will hear our teacher say, you should first imitate the style of all the masterpieces, and then you will develop your own style. I think that is because they are something that cannot be learned by merely watching the picture. The insect that live in summer won't know the feelings of cold. If we don't broaden our horizon, our thought will be hugely limited. And experience matter. Experience of all kinds matter. Because the problems we confront today in society and in life are mostly complicated. You cannot talk about economy without talking about politics. You cannot talk about politics without talking about psychology. And you cannot talk about psychology without talking about history. And you might think, are you kidding? How can I ever be able to know all this stuff? So that's the next thing I want to say. Let go everything you think you already knew. The right way is you can first have some assumption and then revise it. Like a general will make a plan according to the information he knew about the world. But sometimes a nasty, unexpected event can smash your whole acknowledgement. And what a general should do is not insist on his decision, but to show his flexibility and revise it. We usually have an adaptation that if you choose a standpoint, you should stay there forever, or we will consider you as a person who bends with the winds. So it is natural for us to think in that way, but we should remember that environment will change, condition will change, so our opinion should and could change too. Until now, I think I have persuaded you that independent thinking requires endless effort. So how can we keep on it when the journey becomes extremely tiring? In my observation, you should either care the thing you research or love it. In my case, I have the capacity to know if the food is delicious or not in one glance. That is because I have accumulated a lot of experiences in childhood and I really enjoy eating delicacy. But when we talk about social issue, we don't talk about love. It is care that makes us keep eyes on whatever it is. Like the Sunflower Student Movement, which raised our attention to laws, politics, and most importantly, democracy of our country to a level we had never seen. How many of you have searched the information about service trade agreement? Please raise your hand. And how many of you have thinking about what is the true value about democracy? So you do care about it, don't you? So if I have the honor to advise you how to deepen your thought, I would say, go, grab any chance to experience the world through books, through travel, through people, through daily life. Toastmaster of evening.